Hi there, I am Becky Hammond and welcome to Isogo TV. Wherever you are on your strengths journey, I want to help you take your strengths and apply them to your everyday work and your everyday life. This is episode number 9, Internal and Invisible. And this is an episode that's special to me because it's dedicated to a guy who knew strengths and their nuances and power more than anyone else I've met. And actually, when I'm coaching people, or one of you perhaps, more often than not, when you get your top 5 strengths for the first time and you see them and you read about them, you say things like, I didn't know other people didn't think like this. And that's one of the things I love about StrengthsFinder, is that it brings out into the open something that is often so invisible. So I've seen it and I'm living it. So let me explain. Oh, and beware, there might be a little bit of singing in this episode. So when I was first starting to get spun up on the whole concept of working and living from strength and just kind of applying it to my own life, an instructor and mentor of mine in this whole strengths world presented me with a concept that has just really been compelling to me, that I've been able to come back to over and over when I'm trying to figure out what's happening in a miscommunication or when I don't understand somebody. And that is this concept of internal and invisible. And actually this mentor of mine this past summer passed away unexpectedly. And so this episode is a little tribute to him. Every time that I think about this concept of internal and invisible, his legacy is living on. His name is Curt Liesveld. And so he presented this concept of internal and invisible, meaning that largely our talents, these things that are naturally recurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior, our talents that we can turn into strengths, are largely internal and invisible. They're things that are hard to explain or that we might not even recognize in ourselves. And so the challenge is to then bring them to bring the internal and invisible to the external and visible. And one of the things that just kind of has come up to me as a helpful kind of word picture over the past couple of years is this concept of sitting inside a car. You know, we've all done it where we've driven up to a red light and we can see some movement out of the side of our eyes, and so we look over and we see somebody totally rocking out, right? Singing a song, rocking out on their steering wheel. You can tell they're going at it. They're like, right? But when you look at them and you can't hear what's going on inside, you really have no idea the song that they're singing for sure. And in some ways, their behavior, the way they're coming across, it seems a little bit ludicrous. It's only when you roll down that window, when you let the window come down, is that internal and invisible comes to the external and the visible, and in this case, the audible, right? So for example, you might see them going like this on the steering wheel. You can see the beat. It goes. Right? But do you have any idea what that song was? No. I mean, it could be almost any song. It's only when you roll down the window and you can hear what's going on inside that car, inside that person's mind, that an internal and visible comes to external and visible. So you start, this means something, right? This turns from to let it go, can't hold it back anymore, let it go, right? And I could just jam out, and you could tell we have a 4-year-old at home, right? That is when it becomes external and visible, is when you kind of roll that window down. And so that's really what StrengthsFinder is. It's rolling that window down. By rolling down the window, you start to be able to see what's going on in the inside that's motivating the behavior, these natural patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior, our strengths, right? Our talents that we can turn into strengths, that we'll be able to see what that internal and invisible is like. And so to me, that's just been a helpful word picture. It's been a helpful, like when I can't understand somebody or we're having a miscommunication, I start to think, okay, what's what's internal and visible? What do we need to roll the window down on here that we can begin to understand each other a little bit better? So I can understand what's motivating and driving this conversation or those actions. And so internal and invisible, bringing that to the external and visible. That's one of the things that StrengthsFinder helps us do and is about. So let's use this. And really, in order to use this, you have to come from that place of being willing to let people in. And sometimes that's a hard place to be. For me, people have oftentimes in my life come to me and said they didn't really understand what was motivating my behavior. They saw the result, but they wanted to know what was behind it. How did I get there? And for me, it was my StrengthsFinder themes of connectedness and belief. People couldn't really see and didn't know that I had confidence that all things happen for a reason, and that my belief in just human intrinsic value was motivating a lot of what I did. And so when I was able to expose that and bring those out into the open, people were able to see the strength that I brought and the reasons behind the things that I did. And so for you, do the same thing. Take 4 minutes today, sit down and think through what are some of the things that are internal to you. What's that song that seems to be running inside your head? And I'm not really talking about, Mariah Carey or Mumford & Sons, right? I'm talking about the thing that comes naturally to you, that maybe you're doing and you're thinking about it, but you don't even realize that you're thinking about it. It's what's motivating you. It's what's behind your actions. And then when you've identified just one thing, talk to someone about it. Find someone close to you and ask them, share with them, and ask them for their feedback. Do they see it in you too? And then when you've done that, I'd love to hear about your internal and invisible and how you're bringing that into the external and the visible to make yourself as strong as you can be. So comment over at the blog for episode 9, that's isogostrong.com, or over on the YouTube channel. I would love for this message of strength to get out to the world, to eliminate hate and strife and unnecessary frustration at work and at home, and help people get to their ultimate place of success, their unique place of success. So please share this in your circles and your areas of influence, whether that's social media and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, or it's just by talking to your manager or your spouse. Share Isogo TV with them. And if you liked it, head on over to iTunes and leave a positive review, because that'll help get the word out as well. But really, in the end, I'm just glad that you joined me again today, and I really hope that I'll see you again next week on Isogo TV.